Hello, my dear students. How are you all? I am Bashavi and I welcome you all to study class 5 Science with me by Science Horizon Acknowledge Series, a unit of Amit Publishing House. So, let's see what all we have to study today. We are going to study Unit 6, that is the Environment, Chapter number 9, Light, Shadows and Eclipses. So, let's move on to see what is there in the chapter. So we will study about what is light, shadow and eclipses. So these are the things which we all have heard and seen in our day-to-day life. But what is the science behind it? What is it all about? Today we are going to study about it. So first of all, what is light? आप सब light के बिना नहीं रह सकते. We all have to work under light. We can see things under light. So what is light? Light is a form of energy that enables us to see things. हम चीजों को कैसे देख सकते हैं? With the help of light. Whether it is daylight, that is the sun, or the night light, that is using electronic bulbs and tube lights. Light travels in a straight line and that is called light rays. We can see objects when light rays strike on object and then bounce off the object into our eyes. तो हम चीजों को कैसे देखते हैं? When light rays fall into our eyes and those light rays, they make image of the object which we see, and that's how we are able to see the entire world. We can see objects like I said. Now the phenomena of light striking an object and bouncing off is called the reflection of light. So with the help of reflection of light, we are able to see things. Now, moving on to next, how do we know that light travels in a straight line? अब मैंने आपसे कह दिया कि light travels in straight line, but how am I going to prove this? और या ये क्या fact है इसके पीछे that light does travel in straight line? If you hold a torchlight and try to see it through a hollow, flexible pipe, you will be able to see the torchlight like this. आप एक पाइप या कोई भी हॉलो टाइप का इंस्ट्रूमेंट लेके टॉर्च लाइट एक तरफ से फोकस करें एंड यू सी फ्रॉम द अदर एंड यू विल बी एबल टू सी दैट बीम ऑफ लाइट. पर्सन इज एबल टू सी द टॉर्च लाइट, करेक्ट? नाउ इफ यू नाउ बेंड द पाइप एंड ट्राई टू सी द टॉर्च लाइट, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू सी द लाइट. Similarly, if you bend this light like this pipe, and then you focus the same light, you will not be able to see because the light will travel till here and this objection will object the light. तो यहाँ से curve start हो जाएगा, वहाँ से light projection will be stopped. So if you now bend and try, you will not be able to see. This demonstrates that light travels in a straight line. So this practical thing, this you can also follow at home. This will prove that light travels in a straight line. Can light pass through objects? When light rays interact with an object, light can either pass through the object or gets blocked by the object. So it depends what kind of the object it is. Depending on how much light can pass through the object, there are three types of object: transparent, translucent and opaque objects. Correct? Now objects that allows light to pass through them are called transparent. Glass and plastic जो sheets होती हैं which can see through, which enables us to see beyond it, those are transparent objects, and we can see through transparent objects. Objects that allow a little light to pass through it, they are called translucent. तो ऐसे objects जहाँ से पूरा नहीं but थोड़ा बहुत एक reflection आता है or maybe we can just see what is behind that sheet or a translucent dome. So those objects are called translucent. Wax paper, frosted glass, certain kind of polythene bags, they are translucent. We can see partially, not completely, but partially through those objects. Now objects that do not allow light to pass at all, they are called opaque objects. Wood, thick paper, thick plastic sheets, they all are opaque objects. We cannot see through opaque objects that objects the projection of light. When light falls on an opaque object, it cannot pass through it. So opaque objects cast shadows. Shadow किस तरह से बनती है? Opaque object के थ्रू से शैडो बनती है. So see, it's a transparent jar, you can see through it. आपको दिख रहा है कि ट्रांसपेरेंट जार के अंदर क्या है, because light is passing through it. It is a frosted glass, a translucent material where you can just partially see कि कुछ तो है. And this, beyond the door, you cannot see what is behind the door because it is completely opaque. Light is not traveling beyond it. Now shadow, have you ever noticed that when you walk on the road during daytime, a dark shape on the ground also moves along with you. आप जब direct sunlight के नीचे चलते हैं, so shadow walks along with us. And what is it? You must have also seen such shapes with trees, poles, buildings, and on the ground in the daytime. So that is basically a shadow. Now what is shadow? We all know that light travels in a straight line. When any object comes in the path of that straight line, a shadow of that object is formed. तो जिस तरह से मैंने कहा कि light straight line में travel करती है, so when an object is covering that line, a straight line, so that casts a shadow. वो उस तरह से एक shadow बन जाती है. Thus we can say that a shadow is an area of darkness where light is blocked. Now things required for shadow. Shadow के लिए क्या क्या चीजें important है? There are three things that are required for a shadow to be formed. First of all, light, an object, and a surface. So because of, see, we need a light, maybe a sunlight or any kind of these light, an object, and a surface. जब तक एक surface नहीं होगा, तब तक वो shadow create नहीं कर सकता. The piece of wood did not allow any light to pass through it, thus its dark shadow is formed. Such objects are called opaque objects, and materials like wood, leather, they all are opaque. The piece of paper allows light to pass through it only partially, thus its shadow is very faint, that is very blurred. Such objects are called translucent, and examples are butter paper, normal paper. Then these all things are called translucent objects. The piece of glass allows light to pass through it completely, thus a shadow does not form. ठीक है, जिससे light pass हो जाती है, that is specially transparent, they do not cast shadow. Such objects are called transparent. An example are water, cellophane paper, glass, and thin plastic sheets. So these all are transparent. Now what is the sharpness of a shadow? The shadow of the same object can be dark or light. Size of a shadow. The size of the shadow of an object depends on two things. Size of the object itself, कि क्या उस object का size है, and also the distance between the object and the source of light. So the size of the shadow depends on the size of the object and the distance between the source of light and the object. So on that distance also the size of the shadow depends. Eclipses. Coming to eclipses, we know that moon moves around the earth. ठीक है, ये एक universal fact है. We all know moon moves around the earth in a fixed orbit. Similarly, earth also moves around sun in a fixed orbit. Sometimes during their orbit movements, the moon and the earth, they form a line within the sun, alignment with the sun. When this happens, the light of the sun is blocked by the body in the middle, that is either the moon or by the earth. So जब एक तो होता है कि this is sun, this earth is moving around the sun in a fixed orbit. Now moon is moving around the earth in a fixed orbit. So there are times जब ऐसा होता है कि जो sun के alignment के बीच में, sun rays के falling के बीच में, या तो moon या तो earth दोनों आके object कर जाते हैं, उनका light block कर देते हैं. So during that time it results in the shadow of the middle body being formed on the other body. So that is called an eclipse. So there are two kinds of eclipse. या तो solar eclipse होगा, that is जो हम हिंदी में कहते हैं सूर्य ग्रहण, and lunar eclipse, that is चंद्र ग्रहण. So solar eclipse occurs when during its course of revolution, that is when it is moving, the moon comes in between the sun and the earth. See, this is earth, this is the sun, this is earth. So during its revolution around the orbit, when the moon blocks the sunlight falling on the earth, तो ये जो moon है ये sunlight को block कर देता है. So when this happens, the moon casts a shadow on the earth. तो ये जो blockage की वजह से क्या होता है, moon की shadow earth पे आ जाती है. The sky gets slowly dark as the moon moves in front of the sun. Since the sun gets hidden behind the moon, it is called a solar eclipse. So here it is called solar eclipse क्योंकि sun ढक गया, sun की light नहीं पड़ रही. Moon has blocked the sunlight. That's why it is called solar eclipse. Now coming to lunar eclipse. Okay, at some places the moon does not cover the sun completely. Only a part of the sun is invisible and it is called a partial solar eclipse. तो कई बार हमने सुना है कि इंडिया में नहीं है, अमेरिका में है, या हमारे जोन में नहीं है. Why does it happen? Because sometimes it happens that moon does not cover it completely. So some part of it is visible, some part of the sun is invisible. So that is called partial solar eclipse. At some places the sun is completely hidden behind the moon and it is called total solar eclipse. A solar eclipse is seen during the daytime. It lasts only for a few minutes. One should never look at a solar eclipse with the naked eye. It can even harm the eyes. Now coming to lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse occurs when the earth comes between the sun and the moon. Now see here, as I told you, sun, अब ये earth revolve करता है sun के around. So when earth comes between sun and moon, when earth blocks the sunlight, what happens? The earth blocks the sun rays from reaching the moon. At some places, the shadow of the earth covers the moon partially and it is called a partial lunar eclipse. And at some places, the moon covers it completely, where it is called total lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse always takes place on a full moon day. During a lunar eclipse, the full moon's bright face slowly changes into a dark orangish kind of color. क्यों? क्योंकि ये इसने ब्लॉक कर दिया, अर्थ ने ब्लॉक कर दिया. It is because even though the moon is in the earth's shadow, some sunlight is able to pass through the earth's atmosphere and reach the moon. थोड़ा बहुत sun का जो sunlight है वो earth के atmosphere से moon तक जाती है. So it gives a orangish illumination. ये एक orange ball की तरह दिखता है, giving it an orange color. Lunar eclipse can last up to an hour and a half. And they are safe to look at with binoculars or telescopes. So lunar eclipse आप देख सकते हैं, it is not as harmful. So this is called lunar eclipse. So when earth is coming blocking between sun and moon, it is called lunar. When moon is coming between sun and earth, it is called solar eclipse. Now let's recall what all we have studied. So light is a form of energy that enables us to see things. Light travels in a straight line, and it is called light rays. When an object comes from the path of light, a shadow of that object is formed. There are three things required for a shadow to form: light, an object, and a surface. Transparent objects do not form any shadow. Opaque and translucent objects form dark and faint shadows respectively. The brighter the light, the sharper is the shadow. जितनी ज़्यादा light होगी उतनी shadow sharp होगी, defined होगी. Bigger objects form bigger shadows. Nearest the source of light to the object, the bigger will be its image. और जितना ज़्यादा source of light object के पास होगा उतनी ज़्यादा bigger होगी image. Correct? Now let's try to answer some questions. Differentiate between opaque and transparent objects. So opaque objects are those objects through which light cannot travel and we cannot see beyond it, which blocks the light. Those are opaque objects. Example: wood, thick plastic sheets, and rubber. These kind of things, they are opaque objects. Transparent objects क्या होते हैं? Those objects through which we can see through, which allows light to pass through it and we can see the objects behind it also. So those are transparent. So example are transparent sheets, glass, water, and opaque object cast shadow. Transparent objects do not cast shadow. How can we prove that bigger objects form bigger shadows? So bigger objects form bigger shadows because the sharpness of the shadow always depends on the size of the object. So the object, the more is the size of the object, the bigger will be the shadow. The sharp will be the shadow. Differentiate between partial and total solar eclipse. So as I told you, partial solar eclipse क्या होते हैं? At some places the visibility of sunlight is there, and at some places it is completely invisible. So where there is chances of seeing the sunlight, that is called partial, and where it is completely invisible, that is called total solar eclipse, जहाँ पे बिल्कुल अंधेरा हो जाएगा. Explain the lunar eclipse with the help of a diagram. So you just have seen that this diagram, lunar eclipse diagram. This you have to draw and write down few points for this diagram. So sun and moon and earth is blocking the path of both sun and moon. So this is the diagram of lunar eclipse. We have finished learning this chapter. So this was quite an interesting and also an easy chapter, but you have to go through the chapter, learn the chapter and try to answer all on your own once again. Okay, so till then, stay excited for the clamp of next video. Stay healthy and happy. Thank you so much.